Hello there! Today I'll be talking about how to write code, decode codes, and also give a general overview of this random project that I found. I thought to myself, why has nobody decoded any of the codes in this project yet? Or you could just check the description for a link to a text file with everything already decoded. I won't judge. I'll also be providing the Python code I wrote for decoding things in case you're a masochist who prefers doing it the hard way. You do you, buddy. Or you don't trust me. I respect that. Also, you should probably watch the project in question, but if you don't want to, I can't really stop you now, can I? Now, I must preface that the only way I found out about this project is by looking at the Nightmind index and going, wow, that's a nice postcard image. Then I looked at the description, which reads, this art project is a look into a small yet strange town filled with anomalies, where the paranormal happens on a day-to-day basis. However, no one seems to care, except for a librarian who is tasked to talk about the town's history for its 154th anniversary, being hosted by the library. The project is akin to J.R.R. Tolkien's The Silmarillion and Gravity Falls. And let's stop reading there because all I care about is Gravity Falls. First of all, let's take a look at some of the codes in these videos. See any patterns? They're all 2-digit numbers separated by a dash or a new line. So the easiest assumption we could make here as to the identity of our mysterious encryption scheme is the A1Z26 cipher, where you just substitute letters for the numerical place in the alphabet. But wait! If you look carefully, you'll see that these numbers don't span the range of 1 to 26, they go beyond. And so the online decryptors cannot help us, for they complain that there is no letter for which it corresponds to. Well damn. The second option we have is ASCII, a data encoding format which assigns numbers to letters. Because the symbols that correspond to these numbers don't make sense in this specific context, eventually I watched until there was a code that fell within the ASCII letter range, shoved into the ASCII converter, despaired over the incomprehensible mess it produced, shoved into a Caesar cipher decoder, and rejoiced over some semblance of a lead. Naturally, I made a hypothesis. What if we convert the code to fit in the 1 to 26 range and apply the Caesar cipher? Obviously, it would take a really long time to confirm this hypothesis manually, especially since we wouldn't know the offset for the Caesar cipher. So clearly the easiest way to prove this will work is by coding a decoder, obviously. Unlike the vast majority of hobbyist programmers I know, I wrote out the goal of the decoder, the general process that I should take, as well as an optional feature I wanted. Then I proceeded to code said features in Python. I'm a bit rusty because it's been a while since I coded in Python though, so I won't say that this is the most efficient. I've commented the entire thing for maximum readability, but the basic idea is that we apply the offset, then perform the modulo function, which takes the remainder after division to get into a range of 0 to 25. In order to get it to work properly, there's a base offset of -1 in order to get z to properly wrap around to 25. Since 26 modulo 26 is 0, and logically speaking, we want the range to start with a and end with z. The easiest way to convert numbers to letters is by using Python's built-in ASCII converter, and we can easily make this possible by just adding 65 to all our numbers and running the character function to convert. Now, yes, technically we could have just handled z as 0 as an edge case, but using a base offset is a lot easier. As you can see, the numbers 1 and 26 with an offset of 0 produce the expected results, a and z. I've also gone in and coded in a fair amount of error handling just because I like error handling. Yay! Since I watched the whole thing first to make sure it was possible to decode everything to not make a fool of myself, I hit 2 times speed and sat there for 2 hours slowly transcribing, decoding, decoding, and so on and so forth. The general method I used was brute forcing the first code in each episode using the all offset, and then using that offset for the next 2 or 3 codes in the video. What I will note is that the offset is different in every episode, and there are usually 3, occasionally 4 codes in each episode, which means a lot of typing. This is likely a result of the delivery of the project, which is through daily 1 to 2 minute videos. Unfortunately, it doesn't work as well if you binge the videos, like I did. Also of note is that a fair amount of the codes are flavor text, but there's 2 main points. Today's crackpot theory is that the person getting chased is incognito, which is totally not a pun on incognito, and she's working together with or knows of the duo running the caffeine channel and is getting chased by that one totally not a vampire dude or whoever this guy is. Possibly even this spooky boy, but I'm taking this at face value and assuming that being associated with Z and Lisa would disqualify him from the suspects list. The cult is probably just misguided or something, as most cults are. The codes are being addressed to Ashe, and Ashe is just lying through her teeth when she says this.
I'm seeing anything. Maybe something on your devices? Try turning it off and on again, maybe?
Since Find Her likely refers to Lisa, and Ashe presumably does just that at the end of the videos.
Oh, Ashe! Is that you? Alyssa?
However, what contradicts the idea of Ashe lying is that we haven't been shown any hints that she's an unreliable narrator, or have just gone and completely missed him. But I don't know, that's just my theory. I'm just an observer, so don't expect anything intelligible out of me. After all, it's been proven that Lisa can tamper with the videos, so she could have just as easily put the codes there.
God. I only ever upload on Yggdrasil. No one else, really. Oh, here I am, again, and totally not stealing footage from the library for this spot. Huh, I don't know. How can she even grab these? No, I'm not. Don't you dare snitch. I can't ask her about it, but I'm sure it's fine.
A possible plot hole that arises from that is how can Ashe view YouTube comments? Because it means that Lisa either has to be forwarding the comments to the Yggdrasil version, or, and this is an awful theory, Yggdrasil obviously refers to Yggdrasil, the Norse world tree, and her branch of reality has some quantum entanglement effect with ours, where a comment posted on our YouTube must be posted on her Yggdrasil. The main point is that Z is not human. I don't really know what's with the emphasis on that point, but here's my top 3 theories as to what it could be off the top of my head. Yep, I'm not even gonna read them. In all honesty, I don't really care about VTuber lore, so I appreciate that this works well as a standalone. I've never heard of these 2 people until now. There's also a lot of information just from all the random documents strewn about the videos, and I like how it contributes to the world building. The YouTube comment sections are a nice touch, and the vast amount of art is pretty impressive. A few things I'm not as into is how the same music plays over and over, though this is mostly only a problem because I binged instead of watching it slowly. And the approach to delivering the codes falls flat in a few ways. First of all, there is no easy way to decode this using online decoders without any kind of manual work to prep it for the decoder. It's fair to say that most people who are even mildly intrigued by the codes are going to take one look at it, try one approach, see that it doesn't work, and give up, since security through obscurity means that you either know or you don't know. You can make a million guesses in the world, but if you don't know the right way to guess, there's virtually no way you'll guess correctly. Secondly, the difficulty of the codes does not ramp up over time. You can see that the creators got a bit desperate by providing a solution in these 2 instances, and the same encoding is used throughout the project. This is actually not too helpful, considering the offset changes per video, and we can't build a substitution table just from this information, since it's so short and there could be a variety of different substitution schemes to produce this result. Worst case scenario, it could have just been pure substitution with no pattern discernible, which would require frequency analysis, and that just doesn't work without a disgusting amount of data available. Applying 2 or more ciphers also makes it harder to identify the process, so that's something I would not recommend unless you know your audience well enough to justify it. Third of all, there's no proper encouragement within the series itself. Ashe essentially discourages it by going, "Nah bro, what codes? I don't see no codes." It's been a while, but I believe Gravity Falls actually has Dipper solve a couple of codes in the journal, rather than go, "I shall now give up." There's also no proper hints from what I could see. What could have been helpful is if there was a document on the corkboard to provide a hint, which could be justified through Ashe going, "Oh, that fell out of the book and I pinned it up to take a look at it later," or some other excuse. Something else that this project would have benefited from is if the creators had gathered player feedback, by which I mean get someone to go through the project, attempt to solve the codes, and see how they feel. Even going through it and breaking the code yourself would help, because then you can see the amount of time and effort that goes into doing so, and scale down the difficulty if needed. I will admit though, I wouldn't have made a video on this were it not for there not being any known solution to these codes, so there's that, I guess. Overall, good project. I like spending my time on things like these. If the creators see this, good job, and good luck on your next project. Otherwise, that's it for me, and thanks for watching.